now tuned into the sounds of
Big Nate Sports Talk.
It's on all the time, anytime.
You are now tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that's on all the time, anytime. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for all content. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Nathan Snell. Bring your sports game with Big Nate Sports Talk.
Introduction. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Nathan Snell of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. I hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all staying safe. This is episode 12, season 14. In this episode, this is part 2, Play Ball, the National League edition. We're previewing the National League for Major League Baseball. As I stated this year, I think this has to make up being a good year. But before we get into that, let's get some things out the way. This video will go live as soon as it's finished recording. This evening, the Maryland recap against South Carolina and previewing the Final Four with Brendan Potts. That'll also be recorded, and I'll go live tomorrow along with previewing the Final Four men, and then we'll be previewing the championships once the NCAA tournament's complete. Then we get into the NBA mock draft, NFL mock draft, and NFL offseason moves. So be tuned in for those videos. Let's just get in. As I stated, for this year, I think this has being a good last year, yes, there were some slight disappointments due to injuries, inconsistencies, but I think this year will be better. The Phillies, to me, were this close of getting to winning the World Series. We're going to start actually with the NL East. To me, this is actually the toughest division, in my opinion, to play in. It's funny, the last time for those who've won the division or won the pennant and going to the World Series, the Nationals was in 2019, the Braves in 2021, and last year, then Phillies just fell short against Houston. I still think, when healthy, Atlanta is a balanced baseball team. You still have the rotation: Spencer Strider, Max Fried, Charlie Morton, and Kyle Wright. Now, Kyle Wright, I believe, will be on the IL to start the season. I think he'll be on the 10-day, but he'll be back. You have a respectable bullpen that will get you out of situations. You're getting a healthy Ozzie Albies back, a healthy Acuna Jr. back. You still have Austin Riley. You got Sean Murphy in a trade this past offseason, excuse me. Michael Harris, to me, is a potential all-star candidate this year. I predict Acuna Jr. will finish in the top 10 for NL MVP. I think that this team, to me, will bounce back from last year. I know Albies was dealing with injuries. You know, the rotation last year, some injuries just kind of popped in that Atlanta lineup. And they did really well, especially with the departure of Freddie Freeman, which I still think they messed that up. but Matt Olson to me was a great replacement for him. I would look for him to make the All-Star team this year as well. When I look at the Mets, this is a team that finished with 101 wins as well. But unfortunately lost a tiebreaker. They finished on the tiebreaker, and they lost on a wild card. I think they'll be fine. Verlander was their biggest pickup. They did have Carlos Correa, but his foot, the doctors were just not sold on it, and they backed out. To me, I think the biggest thing that will hurt them, and I think David Robertson will fill that void for now, was Edwin Diaz. Let me just get them just out the way. Edwin Diaz suffered an injury in the World Baseball Classics. It was a freak accident. It happens. This notion that we need to get rid of the World Baseball Classics, when I've seen players in spring training and during the regular season get hurt. It was a freak accident. I wish him a speedy recovery. But this notion that we need to get rid of the World Baseball Classics is ridiculous, because there was a tweet on Twitter after that happening saying, "Oh, you see why we shouldn't have the World Baseball Classics? It's because of things like this." Alec Bohm, third baseman for the Phillies, suffered an injury in spring training. He's out for the year. It happens. Injuries are a part of the game. But this notion that we need to get rid of the World Baseball Classics because of what happened to Edwin Diaz, when that happens, in whether that's the regular season, training camp, no matter what.
Bullshit.
I think we really have to be better when we're trying to start narratives like that. I just thought that was disgusting. So I wish Edwin a speedy recovery. The bullpen still has plenty of depth, and they'll be fine. They did also bring in Koda Senga in the rotation. I think he's going to look pretty good. You still got Max Scherzer. Jacob deGrom is in Texas, of course. So you replace him with Verlander. Still a win-win. The lineup is still, to me, with Pete Alonso, McNeil, Lindor, Brandon Nemo, Marte, Steve Cohen as an owner. That's a super team. And I really, really think I have the Mets. It's actually going to be funny. I might get some flack for this. But these three teams, I'm going to talk about the Phillies next, will all have 90-plus wins this year. To me, when you had two teams that won 100 games, I would not thought last year the Phillies, who won 87 games, would get to the World Series. And I think they rode on I think the momentum was high for them. They peaked at the right time. To me, I think Trey Turner will be also finishing the top 10 of MVP this year. That was a big signing for him. Tajon Walker, who to me is a depth guy who will add depth to their rotation. Bryce Harper and Rhys Hopkins. Alec Bohm last year suffered an injury, and then Rhys Hopkins this year, he's out. Those guys will be out, and that kind of puts a damper on things, but I still predict them to be a contender. I actually have all three teams winning 90-plus games. So Rhys, I think, will probably miss a good chunk of the season, maybe if not the whole season. Bryce should be back probably before the second month of the season is over, in my opinion. But I still think they're a formidable team. You're not going to get any issues out of me with that. The Marlins, I think they've got a good young core. Sandy Alcantara, who was Cy Young last year. Jazz Chisholm, who is on the cover of MLB The Show 23. Get your copy of it now. It's out. I really think they've got a good core. They did get the AL batting champion, Luis Arias from Minnesota. Um, I still think you have the other guys behind Sandy and Jesus, Lazador, Trevor Rogers, and Edwin Cabrera. Um, Other than that, I really don't see much in that lineup. And I'm kind of curious to see the move from second base to center field by Jazz. I'm curious to see what that looks like. Yes, I understand middle infielders should have the same skill set of going out to the outfield. I get that. But I'm really curious to see what that move will look like for him. I still think he'll put up the numbers, but I'm just curious to see the position change, how that'll work. Um, I just don't think they have enough talent right now to compete with the rest of the NL East. Great young core. It's just not enough. And then painfully at the bottom, I think I actually have the Nationals winning 72 games. Um, I still think they could have did a lot more to pay Juan Soto. I think Juan Soto should still be a national. Um, I really think last year was the reality was the writing on the wall. They've fully embraced the rebuild. Um, I don't think this year will determine the failure of the rebuild. I think it's just how the young guys perform. McKenzie, Gore, Josiah Gray, C.J. Abrams, Cleber Ramirez, Luis Garcia. I think that's your young core, and I really am not. There's nothing else really there. This is to me just a rebuild, and we all know it as for me since I'm in the DMV with the Orioles and Nationals. So there's optimism. I think that this is just the beginning. It all depends on how these guys develop. McKenzie was former prospect with the Padres, along with C.J. Abrams. Cabert came from the Dodgers, so I'm really curious to see where it all goes. But for me, I'm really keen on what this team looks like. But I have them winning 72 games, my personal opinion. Transition to the NL Central. I think this has the makings of being division. The Chicago Cubs. For me, I really think I'm. Yes, they've made moves, and I think they're going to make a push for the playoffs. I think the addition of Dansby Swanson was a big pickup. Him alongside with Nico Hernan, I think definitely should be an interesting duo in the infield. Signing the former National League MVP, Cody Bellinger. I think a change of scenery for him was best. I just think the way he kind of fell off the last couple of years, I was very surprised. I really think a change of scenery, I think, will do him better. I kind of saw the same thing with Joey Gallo a little bit when he was traded from New York. So I'm curious to see how Cody looks this year. Sia Suzuki, he definitely showed promise last year. I think he will look to build on that success. You'll be surprised. I predict he'll make the All-Star team this year. You listen, Ian Happ is the last regular bat for that Cubs team that won the World Series, ironically. And other than that, I mean, the rotation to me is not Boffus, but they will get the job done. Marcus Stroman, you signed Jamison Talon, Justin Steele. I really think I actually have them winning 79 games. I think what they've done is enough to compete, but it's not enough. The Cardinals. I think the Cardinals will have a bounce back year of the injuries. Again, to me, it's like you're now reigning MVP nationally, Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado. To me, are your stars in that lineup. Tommy Edelman, Tyler O'Neill. And then you sign Wilson Contreras, to replace the great Yadier Molina. Lose Nobar. That offense has the case of being the most dynamic I should see. I've ever seen. I think their defense. I think just the defense. The guys who are on defense on for them. I think are spectacular. I think they're going to compete for sure. Yes, there's not a number one guy in the rotation, but um, Adam Ray, right, 41 years old. I feel like Jack Flaherty is supposed to be that guy, but due to injuries, it really is making it like he's making it a very hard case to. I'm not in the air with Jack. I still think when healthy, he definitely give you some quality starts. I think he can be an efficient pitcher, but the injuries.
I can't defend that. What do you want me to say to that?
I think the verdict's still out on him. I'm not going to give up on him yet. And then the bullpen to me is still respectable. Ryan Helsley, Giovanni Gallegos, and Jordan Hicks. I think that it's just the starting rotation. I do expect the Cardinals probably at some point in the season they'll make a trade to get something to fill that void in the pitching rotation. I'm surprised he didn't really do that with the way the offseason was. But again, there was really nobody out there that stood out to me. And I really do think that the Cardinals will win the NL Central. When we get to the Pirates, well, I'm back up. The Brewers. I'll get to the Pirates last. Excuse me. The Milwaukee Brewers, I think, are a team that actually will surprise some people. That three-headed monster from Milwaukee, Corbin Burns, Brandon Woodruff, and Freddie Peralta. Those three to me that's a 1-2-3 combo. You have a bullpen that's Devin Ace. I think is finding his stride back for sure. The batting lineup is other thing. Christian Yelich, to me, since signing the contract, yes, this was a guy who could have been an MVP back-to-back years. I think it was the 2018 and 2019 season. He has been AWOL. I really don't know what's been going on with him. And I look at the rest of the lineup. I mean, Willie Adames, I think he will have a good year. I think Jesse Winker will have a bounce back year. They did sign Williams Wilson's brother, William Contreras. And I think my only question is I don't know if they can keep up with the St. Louis in that division. I'm not really sold on that lineup. There's really just I don't see it. I mean, to me, Christian Yelich is the guy. You invest that kind of money in him, and the investment you've been getting so far.
I can't defend that. What do you want me to say to that?
I'm not sold on it. If you push me, I really think they can win max 80 games. I really the pitching staff's great, but hitting wise, I'm not sold on it. I think they can really keep. I think they'll probably win 83 games. Like with the Cubs, I think the Cubs at least a good 3 years from competing with St. Louis and Milwaukee. But I'm really just not sold on Milwaukee's lineup. And then, lastly, out the way with Pittsburgh, I don't expect to do much this year. I support that Brian Reynolds wants out. He requests trade, and then they're not going to pay him. Again, the people at top are just cheap. And for me, I wouldn't want him to be on a team that clearly to me has no I don't really know what the direction they're going in my personal opinion. I still think that they'll be ahead of the. I think they'll be a better. They'll be pretty north. Um, I I might really take some flack for this, but I see the Pittsburgh Pirates winning 75 games. Um, yes, yeah, Brian Reynolds, O'Neill Cruz, keep Brian Hayes. That's the core you should build around. Mitch Keller, who I believe will get the opening day start, they've got some pieces you can build around. But it all depends to me on what management does. I don't think if you're Pittsburgh, just pay the man. I get it. The Pirates, I is in shout out to the urinating tree YouTuber. He's done a not him. It's I forgot the name of the YouTuber. I did a whole history in the Pittsburgh Pirates. If I remember, I'll leave the link in the description. Um, that's a good core, and you should build around it, in my personal opinion. But knowing how the Pirates have been for the last few years, and on top of that, you signed Andrew McCutchen, so he'll probably put a few more butts in the seats. But I think he definitely brings some leadership to that clubhouse for sure. Um, but other than that, I think it'll be a little bit better in the last few years, but give it another 3-4 years. I think Pittsburgh can make some noise in the NL Central, and painfully, Cincinnati. Fun fact: Ken Griffey Jr. is getting paid almost $4 million. He is still getting paid. He has I think it's the third or fourth highest contract going into this season.
What? What? And you got to be kidding me.
Let me break the contract down. So when Ken Griffey Jr. Was traded to Cincy in 2000, when they gave him an extension, I believe it was a 6-year. I want to say it was a 6-year, $100 million extension. And at that time, I think it was because he had just they just made the playoffs in Cincy. He wanted to go back home. So I think the contract, I want to say it was like about I know it was like around 100 or something. And there was a $4 million buyout. And he had, 112.5 million dollars in salary. When they agreed, according to an article that I read on Sports Illustrated, that he would have deferred money. He would start earning that money as of 2010, and he would be on the payroll until 2025. And he makes other and Chris is also too. You would think Ken Griffey Jr. could still go out there and give you some and can still play. Because I saw there's a video on Twitter. He can still rake the bat. But that's a fun fact for the Cincinnati Reds. That's pretty much all you need to know. I'm just kidding. I really do think that there is some glimmer of promise. I really I think this is actually the last year of Joey Votto's contract. I think they have a team option on that. Myers, Charlie, who I think I could see them being traded if they perform well at the deadline. Jonathan India, who I think will have a good year, will bounce back from the late he got last year. Tyler Stevenson's coming off an injury. Hunter Green, I think, will have a bounce back year. Nick Lodato. It's going to be the young core to try to keep this team going in the right direction. So I'm really not understanding where the Reds are now, right now, in the direction they're going, I think that they got to really commit to a full rebuild now, because especially the way we've changed the draft, there's gonna be a draft lottery, and I mean, there's going to be some great talent coming into this year's upcoming next year's draft, and I can't, even this year's draft. I can't. It's really hard to get a read on Cincy right now, but I definitely think, to me, with Hunter, Nick, and Graham, I think Graham Ashcraft, that could be your future rotation. Like I said, Stevenson, India. I think Joey Votto can definitely give you at least a good 20 home runs. I think he still can produce. I know he's not the same player, but you're coming off that contract after this year. And then you'll probably see some of the young guys, like De La Cruz, Ely De La Cruz, the kid, Noel V. Marte, a couple of guys I see, that's all the time I had. You probably see them up as the season progresses. And I think Cincy will actually be surprising. I think they'll win 65, 69 games. But other than that, there's nothing that really stands out about the Reds this year. And I'm disappointed. I felt like they had it going, and then it just completely fell to pieces. And I feel bad for David Bell. I think he's going to be the scapegoat. Doesn't make any sense to me why he should be on the hot seat. The team is in no way needing or competing. And I think to fire him, I think I could see him being fired after this year. I think that's just not fair. I think, as I said it in the AL preview, where I talked about it with a couple teams. I don't think it's fair that coaches have to work with teams that you have nothing to work with. He has some pieces, but you got to give him some more to work with. And after this year, I don't like it, but that's just that in this business, it's results. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the sponsor of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast, and that is Zagnif Apparel. Do you want to dress like you're famous? Then why don't you check out Zagnif Apparel? Here is a quick, brief commercial.
The following is a presentation of Zagnif Productions, LLC. Introducing Zagnif Apparel. Our comfortable line of leisure wear and athletic wear will have you comfortable and stylish at any occasion. Whether you're at the gym, out shopping, or just relaxing at home. Whether you're an athlete or just want to lay around the house, we've got the perfect outfit for you. Stop by our website today and pick up your favorite pieces. Zagnif Apparel. Dress like you're already famous.
Going to do that by a nice 15% off using my code, Big Nate. Again, check out Zagnif Apparel. Thank you for being a sponsor of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. It is greatly appreciated. If there are any others that are interested in being sponsors of the podcast, I will have my email and my YouTube channel and the About Me description part of it. But ladies and gentlemen, let's take a quick break. Let's get into, before we get into the final part of our preview of the National League, right back after this song. We're back, and I caught myself. Quick and brief are the same exact thing. I apologize. I cannot believe I really said that. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. The final part of this MLB preview, we have the NL West. The Los Angeles Dodgers win the NL West with another 100-game season.
Guaranteed.
The San Diego Padres. Okay, let me back up. To me, I still think Los Angeles, the Dodgers have a chance. Well, are your division winners. I don't think there's a drop off. I think winning 111 games, that was significant. But I still think they'll win 100 games. To me, the Dodgers have depth. When healthy, I look at their rotation. Dustin, who was out a majority of last year, Noah Syndergaard, aka Thor, Clayton Kershaw, Julio Urias, and then Tony Gonsolin. You did lose Tyler Anderson to free agency. I think for me, because Tony's going to be out due to injury, so I think their prospect, I think his name is Ryan Pyatt, I think will be that guy for them until he comes back. Gavin Stone, who I think was a steal by the Dodgers, look out for him. I think some promise to be in that rotation for years to come. I think they got the guy that they wanted, and I think he's the guy for the future. So that's a player to watch, Gavin Stone, in my opinion. The bullpen to me is still respectable. I think losing the Turners. That you're just her. I don't think that hurts, but it hurts, but it's not a significant. You still have a lineup that includes Max Muncy, Will Smith, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. I really do think that lineup can still compete. Martinez as well. So I'm really, really optimistic on this team. I still think they can compete. In my personal opinion, I think they'll win 100 games. I just think that for me, I think this is a team that to me is still the best. San Diego's proven, but I still think I'm not quite sold on them from this standpoint. Just hear me out. You have a lineup that includes now Juan Soto. You're getting back Fernando Tatis Jr. Juan Soto will finish in the top 10 MVP of this season.
Guaranteed.
Manny Machado, who signed an extension. You signed Xavier Bogaerts. You still got Jake Cronenworth, Trent Gresham, Han Sung-Young Kim. That lineup can be very, very dangerous. And then the rotation. Blake Snell, who I think will have a bounce-back year. Joe Musgrove, Yi Darvish. I think those three will have good years. Maryland guy, love him. Josh Hader. There was an APB out for him because I really don't. I don't know what happened to him from where he was in Milwaukee. The year he had was very, very, very abysmal, and
I can't defend that. What do you want me to say to that?
I really do think that there'll be a bounce back year for them. I think that they won the off season. I actually predict them that the San Diego Padres will win 99 games, in my personal opinion, and I'm saying that confidently with my chest. I think it's going to be it's going to be San Diego and Los Angeles running away with the NL West. It all just depends on the health. It also just depends on the lineup. This, to me, that that batting lineup takes this team as far as it can take it, and they've definitely shown that. San Francisco, I really think I don't know what to call this. Um, I It's a little different from what it was a couple years ago, where this team won 100 games, and it's a different team. Um, Logan Webb by default is your ace. Um, you've got Alex Cobb, Sean Manania, Alex Wood, and Anthony Di Scalafanini. Uh, um, I think that's a good pitching staff. But my biggest strife is that batting lineup is older, um, especially with like Brandon Crawford, Michael Conforto, Mitch Haniger, Jock Peterson, Wilmer Flores. They're all a year older, and yes, that is a strong team with veteran players and a pitching rotation that can get you respectable. Now, I still think San Francisco will actually finish 500 on the year. I think they'll win. They'll finish 500 on the year. I really do think that, to me, missing out on signing Aaron Judge and Carlos Correas, I think really hurt. But I think give them 2-3 years, and they'll be competing with the Dodgers and the Padres. Um, I just think it all depends on health and consistency from that lineup and your pitching staff. But I have the Giants finishing at 500. Arizona, the Diamondbacks. This is clearly a rebuilding. We're coming hopefully to the end of the rebuilding mode for them. I really think a couple things. Trading to me, getting Gabriel Moreno for Dalton Varsho, that was interesting. I was surprised with that because Dalton can play catcher, but he can also play outfield. Corbin Carroll, to me, he got an extension. He and Alec Thomas, those are players to watch. That outfield duo, to me, can be formidable. I think they can make some noise for the Diamondbacks. I think that's a promising young core for me. Gabriel Moreno, to me, I think has made the case that he can be the backstop for them, which they've lacked for years. Even though I think Carson Kelly just disappointed. He didn't really develop what I thought he could be. You still got Kentel Marte, Christian Walker. You also got Gregorius Jr. as well. While Morel Kelly and Brandon and Madison Bumgarner, to me, are your number one, number two pitchers. They really should be eating some innings. I'm hoping you get a better Madison Bumgarner. But the Diamondbacks will win 81 games. I'm putting a guarantee on that.
Guarantee.
Lastly, the Colorado Rockies. I don't know what to call this. You signed Chris Bryant last year. Injuries, part of the game, it happens. I still think he can, when healthy, can contribute. He can produce the numbers, but I'm not really sold on that lineup. Ezekiel Tovar, I will be most likely on the opening day roster. Ryan McMahon, Brendan Rodgers. I feel so bad. When he came out of the draft, he is one of my favorite guys to keep my eye on, and he just, I just feel like he's just not truly gotten the opportunity. And this year he could potentially miss the rest of the season with injury. I'm really I'm just sad for him. I think a change of scenery for Brendan would be good. But I think he's shown flashes what he can be. And then also too the rotation. I don't know what this team looks like. This team, it needs to just fully embrace a rebuild. Herman Marquez by default is your number one guy. He struggled last year. I don't really see much changes. I think he'll win 10 games. That's about it. The rest of the rotation, I question marks. The pitching, it's mediocre. In the farm, I mean, their farm system, it has a lot of talent. It really does. The Rockies, I'm gonna be completely honest, they're a good 4 or 5 years. Maybe I'll take about 3 to 4 years from truly competing. But right now, I have them winning 66 games this year. Only because I don't see any team losing badly, but I don't think it'll be that bad of a drop off. If you push me, I think Colorado can win 70 games. But I'm really not. I'm not sold on them, and they're complete. And they're not ready yet. They're not ready to compete, and I don't really know their true identity right now for the Rockies. So for me, I look at it like I just think give them a couple years, they'll do just fine. But I do want to pull this. This is what they'll have on opening day. Really quick, I could do this with the other teams, but this is a good example. So Herman Marquez is the opening day starter, of course, but they're going to go into the season with a ton of question marks. So you've got Harold Castillo, CJ Cronin, Mike Moustakas, Chris Bryant, Jonathan Diaz, Jerickson Profar, Charlie Blackmon, Harris Montero, Ezekiel Tovar, Alan Trejo, Elias Diaz, Brian Servin, and your starting rotation consists of Ryan Fentner, Kyle Freeland, Austin Gomber, Herman Marquez, Jose Urena, and then your bullpen, Ty Blatch, Brad Hand, Pierce Johnson, Desmond Leonard. I think, for me, from a prodigy, Justin Lawrence, Connor Siebold, and Brent Suter, and then Daniel Bard, former Red Sox. That honestly and truthfully is going to probably give you about 70 wins. Honestly and truthfully. So that's the preview. And about All-Star break, we'll get into the awards. I think it's a little too early to call who's MVP right now. I just feel like this was a good opportunity to just really get to see what the teams would look like. But I did give predictions on who could be in the top 10. But if I had to pick, my AL MVP will be Shohei Ohtani. My Cy Young, I'm actually going to give it to Garrett Cole. Rookie of the Year, that's going to be interesting. I'm going to get back to you on that one. Sleeper in the American League, I think, will be the Orioles. I think Boston will surprise some teams. I think they'll win 75 games. I think Cleveland will make the playoffs. They'll win the division. I think Houston. I think Seattle. Texas will surprise some teams. Arizona, I predict I think they'll finish the year. Like I said, I think Arizona's a sleeper, but I'm not saying that's a true sleeper. But I think that's a team to look out for. I think the Mets and the Braves will win 100+ games this year again. The AL Central will not have a wild card representative. And I really think for the NL MVP, I'm going to give it to Nolan Arenado. And then Cy Young. Oh, my gosh. I can see Sandy Alcantara winning it again. I can see that. That's my predictions for MVP and Cy Young. But y'all let me know your thoughts on the season. Who you looking forward to this year, and what do you guys expect from your teams? Let's give the final message this episode.
Incoming message.
Thoughts are running through my mind. Someone took some time to find a minute or two to organize them.
As I said in the first one, play ball. Like I said, this is going to be a good year for baseball. I predict some good things will happen this year. I expect some teams to get back and repeat and be successful. Here is to a healthy 2023 season. This is the year of surprises, and you're going to see a lot of surprises. But until then, be tuned for future episodes. I will have the Maryland women's basketball recap versus South Carolina as we're getting ready for the Final Four. Painfully, that video we recorded, as long as with the Final Four preview with Brendan Potts, that'll be recorded, and as well as the Final Four preview for the men, those episodes will be recorded as well. But then you're tuning in to the episode of Big Sports Talk. This host Nathan Snell. Please like, comment, and subscribe. You can find me on the YouTube channel by Nathan Snell. You can also find this on Spotify and Spotify with Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. Thank you so much for the support you've given me, this channel, the podcast. I appreciate the support. On the great things, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of your day. I will catch you guys on the flip side. Y'all have a good day. Peace. Stay out.
In this moment, yes, I cannot say what's wrong or right. No, it's not hard to fool me. No, 'cause I'm addicted to the good life. Yes. Yeah, lead the way. I follow. No need to say. With me, I'm heading down, babe. I follow to the edge of it all. To the edge of it all. So tell your good night, 'cause I'll find a better one. Yeah, susceptible life before the moment flies.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode and you want to see more content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Bring your sports game on Big Nate Sports Talk.
It's on all the time, anytime.
I wanna thank you. I wanna thank you, yeah. I wanna thank you. Ooh. For all the times you put up with me. Thank you. And you helped me retain my sanity. Thank you. I wanna thank you. And I wanna thank you. All I wanna do is say thank you for everything you